Greetings. R. Frederick Riddle here with another Becoming a Published Author is Fun. And if you don't understand that, just check out episode 8. But this is episode 25 6. And so we're looking today at priorities. And we're going to take just a little bit. We've talked about this subject in the past. In fact, I think the last one I did, I actually talked about setting priorities. But you might be one who has a difficulty going about doing it, or you may just never even considered it as part of your life. Maybe you don't like to set priorities. Here's the bad news. You need to set up priorities. If you're going to fly by your pants, you still need priorities simply because it gives you an outline of what you need to do. It can be a rigid outline or it can be a relaxed outline. I kind of favor relaxed for me. Something has some flexibility in it. But that depends a lot upon your own nature. So we're going to take a look at these. And the first one is we got a list of projects that you have that you need to do. So you probably have a mental list, idea of what needs to be done on a particular day. Let's say it's today, and you need. We've got all sorts of things who wants your time. Maybe a friend wants to spend some time with you. Maybe, and that might be very important to you. Maybe you have a project that has to do with writing. Maybe you're just this one thing that you have to do to make your book ready to be submitted for being published and things of this nature. There's different things. Maybe work on your website. Maybe working on your marketing. Any subject. And so what you need to do is have an idea in your mind, because when they come in, if you're anything like me, when ideas come in, they take priority. Well, one idea comes in, it's priority number one. Well, a few moments later, another idea comes in, and it's, oh, that's priority number one. And you can waste a lot of time playing that game. So I suggest that you make a list of things to do. Now that can be a mental list. You just keep it in your mind. If you can do that, that is great. Personally, I can make a list, and, and later on I might forget the order that I have them in. So I find it's easier for me to make a list, either on paper or on. I have a I have a personal computer, and I have my phone, and so I can list it on either one of those. Whatever works for you. But that's the thing is, I think it's very important to make a list of your priorities. So, and then when you do that, though, that kind of creates a slight problem for you. And you still just you haven't organized them yet. You don't know, where's this one's going to go and where that one's going to go. So the next step is called the number them. Now, just don't arbitrarily put a number around it. Anybody can do that. I'm going to say even a 3-year-old. 1, 2, 3, 4. So like that. No. Sit down, look at your projects, whatever it is that you have on in your list, and make a decision. Now, you're only talking about that day, not tomorrow, not next week. You're talking about today. Now, if you're a person who likes to plan things ahead, way ahead, like a week or a month, uh, then it's going to be a little bit different. You're going to be looking at them for what is the first thing that you want to get done this month, for instance, the second thing, and so forth. But in every case, you need to have a list that is properly numbered. So you say you got this list, and you say, oh, this one here, that should be number one. I mean, I really got to do that. You put a one there, by the way. And then you put, oh, wait a minute, this one down here. That's pretty important. Not as important as that one, but I'll put that too, and so forth. And you get them. I would recommend that you do, if you want to start a list, no more than no more than 10. If you can do 10 things in one day, you're moving pretty fast. Depends upon the project, of course, but I would suggest more like 3 to 5. Uh, you know, you isolate it down. We go through and number them all. You may have 10 items, and you number them all, and then decide which one goes in those top 3 or 5 slots there. And so, numbering is very important, and it requires you making decisions as to how important is this today, or this week, or this month to get done, and you number it accordingly. Then what you're going to do is you're going to organize them. And that's a very simple process. You simply put it, I would recommend you take number one and make that your first priority. Number two is your second priority. Number three is your third priority. That's pretty simple. Well, I'm a simple man. I like things simple. The simpler they are, the easier it is for me to understand, to apply, and eventually, and then actually do. So here we have what I would call the three-step plan. Now you might make another plan that's a little bit more broken down, more organized. You could put here what I've already talked about, uh, going through and looking at them and seeing what you have to do in the time period that you're working with, and then number them accordingly. So these two things kind of work together as you're making your list. I would make the list first and then go back and number them, because you might have one that you think you put it down and oh, that's number one. You put it down right away. Well, later on you come down and you say, oh no, this should be actually number one. So that's what we're going to. Uh, Again, this comes down to how you think, how you work. You pattern this. You make it work for you. Now, this is the simplest method that I can think of. There are much more complicated methods that are out there. The idea is that you have a plan, that you have a way of selecting your priorities. And so that's what I would recommend. List the projects, then number them, and then organize them. But you're not done. This provides you a straightforward list of priorities in order of when they should be completed. Well, when should you make that list out? Well, again, you're talking about, let's put that down. You're talking about month, week, or day. Now, I would say in the month, uh, the last day maybe, or that you have available, prior to that month. So that's before. Now, that can be any day as long as it's before, because you're planning out a whole month. This would also be before. Now you're thinking that I'm going to write down before for day, but no. Now we're down to the actual day. And I would let's do it in the morning, a.m. Sometime in the morning, before you get, first thing you do at the start of the day, make out your list of things to do. And that's just a general idea here, but before can be the day before the month starts, it can be the week before, or whatever. The week, it could be the day before, or 2 or 3 days before, something of that nature. Here, on the day itself, you are talking about doing it in the morning. Now, each person does it differently. Some may plan out an entire month. Others may plan out the week. And then still others by the day. I prefer this one here. This is the one that I use. Um, it works. It looks good for me. Now sometimes I will do it this way, the week before. But even when I do it the week before, I'll still follow up by doing it today. And what I mean by that is, on the week before, there would be a sort of general. And then on the day, it's more focused. We'll put focused. Uh, Focus. Okay. So this is what you're going to want to do is put that here. You do it the week before. It's sort of a broad. To be using the broad brush, so to speak. And then here you do the focus in on it. So again, this comes down to what fits your nature, your way of working, and things. What best suits you. And here's the last one. Here is follow, and this is actually not only the last, but it's the hardest. When we are doing things, if you're like me at all, this will be the hardest. Now, some of you might find that doing the listing hard, but to follow, to stick to it. That's why I like a flexible plan. You can either be fixed or flexible. But whether you go fixed or flexible, you still need to be, uh, well, like I said, focused on it. It's not the word I want to think of. You need to be, uh, we'll just put down focused. Maybe I'll think of it before I'm done here. And the same word here used, but in this case, you have to take and be focused on the whatever plan you're doing here. If you're on the fixed, it's a really rigid one plan, then you need to be very um, uh, I can't think of anything. Once I get the word in my mind, that's all I can think of here. But you need to be to the point where nothing deters you. You need to be uh, if your plan calls at from 9 to 10 you do this, and from 10 to 11 you do this. You need to be able to follow that somewhat rigidly. On the other hand, if you're doing the flexible, whoops, uh, there we go. If you're going to be flexible, then that means you're going to need to be uh, still be focused on it, but in this case, you have some room to play, and I like that room because sometimes when I'm estimating the time that's going to take me to do a project, I might get it done faster, or it might take me longer, and so being flexible allows me to adjust my the whole organization here, the whole list. And so in this case, you're fixed. You really set on your priorities. This one here, you have the freedom of adapting and adjusting to the circumstances. So what I'm trying to give you here is something that uh, you can use. You can use now. Something that works with you. This I don't want this to be something that you have to spend a lot of time thinking about. As this should be something that At first, when you first try doing it, yes, you're going to have to think about it. But as you go along, it's going to become part of your life, part of the way you do things, and it will be a habit, if you will, and it will be something that you will do, and you will do it well. At first, you might struggle with it, but if you just keep at it, and it will become a habit. That's how you develop good habits. Is keep doing something over and over again until it becomes natural, becomes something that you just simply do. And so that is what I am going to suggest you do. List your projects, number them according to importance, and then organize them. Now, by the way, just as a side note here, when you're numbering them by importance, you might have other criteria that is in there. For instance, you might say, well, yeah, this is important, but this one over here going to impact the business in a really substantial way. Well, then maybe you should consider renumbering. Maybe that one should be your number one. So that's why I say you got to think things out. Look at them as they relate to your business. And I'm not just talking about a list of business projects. I mentioned earlier, you might have a friend who wants to go out, or you want to go out with. Uh, Maybe you're single and you want a date with somebody. You're married. You and your wife want to go do something, or you and your husband, depending upon who you are there. But you have these all play in your mind, and they also play in how you set your overall projects. Be flexible. That's why I keep the number down. When you have a huge number, it's hard to be flexible. So that's what you want to do. List them, number them, organize them, and do this depending upon how you work, monthly, weekly, or daily. And then I've shown you how to do that. The monthly, you do it before the month begins, or before the week begins, or in the morning as your day begins. And then simply follow, do it. Be a little bit, for the fixed, you got to be focused, you got to be rigid, you got to be uh, unrelenting in a sense. You have this this is going to be your sort of like your Bible in one sense, in that this is going to it's absolute, and so you don't have a whole lot of room here to adjust. On the other hand, this one you do have, but again, there's a danger here that you could spend too much time being too flexible. So you got to, I think, to have a fixed but, you could say fixed but flexible. In other words, you follow it as faithfully as you can, but you have enough flexibility that you can adjust it on the go. And so that's what I want to pass on to you today. We're going to put that over there so I can get here and look you in the eye, so to speak. So I want you to use these kind of ideas and thoughts so that you, the author, can go forward and be your best. You don't want to get lost in the woods. You want to be able to focus on your writing. Even your marketing, that's important. I spend a lot of time on marketing, and I have to. Sometimes I get carried away with it, and I have to back off, because my main business is writing books. Same thing with the course. I teach. I also am a publisher. I publish. These are priorities in my life. And that's not one set of priorities for the whole year. I do it on a daily basis because the days are constantly changing. And so I do it on that day. What's most important for me on that particular day? And that simplifies it for me. And then I use that list. And again, I have a built-in flexibility just in case something comes up later on. And maybe I take too long. Maybe the project takes too long. Maybe I get it done faster than I thought I was going to get it done. Or somebody contacts me and says, "What are you doing today?" Well, then I have to be flexible so that I can. Maybe this might be somebody who wants to spend some time with me, talk to me, or whatever. So, If you find my advice and tips helpful, why not subscribe right below here? By doing so, you not only get this podcast delivered to your channel, but also my other podcasts, Christian News and Views. So there's two. There's this one here, Becoming a Published Author is Fun, and then Christian News and Views, where I give the news and my views based on my Christian worldview. And I also get into on once a week I will get into a study of the Bible itself, look at different things in Scripture, and I really spend a lot of time as I'm a King James guy, and so I push it. I do it without. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it. In fact, the King James version is, in my view, the only version for Christian-speaking people, English-speaking people. So that is what my view is, and I relate that view and why I believe so. And by the way, just as in this podcast, you are allowed to comment, and I will read them. If you comment, I will read them. Or who knows, you might influence me. There's another reason for why you might want to consider subscribing. You encourage me to continue delivering valuable content that you can use. I want to have you be able to trust me. And the only way that's going to happen is if I give you good, solid information that you can use. Now, sometimes I give you just simple stuff like today, setting a list of priorities. Sometimes I give you information that goes deeper into your writing, your publishing, or your marketing. And what I do is I take information that as I go to in the course that I teach, I go into that more in depth. So, but there's a lot of stuff there that I can bring forward to you and give you that it's free. I give it freely. I'm glad to do it. And if you can use it, you should be able to. That's my motive, is to give you tools you can use now. And so that is just one of them, listing your priorities. I hope this has been educational for you and helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.